Hey, hey, Justin, haven't seen you for a little while. Muddy, good to see you. There's Dan.
Loving the background lights.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's what I needed. I need a drum kit in the background to make that look a little nicer.
I don't know. You got lots of cool tech gear and a big TV back there.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
And Muddy looks like he's just finished up a delicious breakfast. Is gonna be my guess since it looks like he's in his kitchen.
That's right. Making some salmon again.
That's funny. I'm jumping on the road, headed to Charlotte for a project today, so I'll be joining from the road.
Nice. Fair enough. Well, we'll give it a few more minutes to get some more people to arrive. Tends to be a little slower when we do the morning ones, particularly this time of year, it seems. So we'll see what happens there. I'll double check if there's some questions, some older questions that are sitting in the system. We'll see. No, there's not. That's cool. That's easy. There'll be a few extra people that drop in. We'll see if blue, if we have a blue sighting as well, and may well be.
Good morning, Grant.
Good morning. Good morning, Amy.
Except it's not morning there. What time is it?
It's not quite. It's 11:30 p.m.
Good evening then. How about that?
Right. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm not too bad.
I'm good.
Very busy.
Are we the only ones on here so far?
Well, there's a few of us here, but yes, there's not many. There's only 6 of us here so far. So
On my phone, I can't see anybody else. So that.
Oh yes, you swipe across, you can sometimes get a bit of a gallery view there, so you can see.
Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Grant, while we're waiting, I have a question I can ask.
Yeah, go for it.
So a while back, I had made a suggestion to Blue, and you might have been on the call around like a general rules engine that we could reuse. Because one of the things I end up doing, I'll heck of a lot of setting visibility rules up, and it never fails. At some point, they're like, "Oh, we decided to change the tag we're using," and then I got to go through all the screens and make sure I grab the. And I asked, "Is there a way to have like a general one that we could reuse to say like VIP tickets is like here's the visibility rule, and I can just say in the visibility rule use the VIP ticket, and so I only have to update in one spot." Any idea if that's on the roadmap anywhere?
Well, yeah, there has been some talk about it. It is a great idea, and it's thinking about the best way to implement something like that, almost like a stored, a stored visibility where you'd still go into each element, but if you could just click one button to go, here's a recently used one or something like that, or a saved one, so that particularly when you do some more complex ones, and ors and all of that sort of thing, that's a lot of clicks. So yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I was trying to think of the ways that it's technically stored, in the way that those visibility rules work, but I was trying to think if there was even a hack that we could do to try to make that work, and not quite, but there's a few there's a few things that are in the pipeline. That there's a couple of things this week that we've seen kind of updates on, and we've talked about this over the last, I was going to say last few weeks. It's actually really last few months, but we've actually seen working versions of both Marketplace, to like to some degree, but actually a working version, new Marketplace, and also the stats engine that we're talking about, and that was particularly promising, where we were able to see to see a graph across a time frame, and then to zoom into that, and to get closer into that, and then to kind of click a button and see who those people were, right? So you, across a whole event, get down to a particular time window. You can say here's a 20-minute time window, and then say, now show me all the people that that this graph is, and then do something with that data. That's where we're getting to. So you could then say these people were there for an offer, or they were there for a whatever particular session, or something, a breakout room. There's a particular thing that happened, and you could then tag those people, and then you could target those people with potentially with comms, or with email, SMS, whatever it is. So there's some quite exciting new features that are coming that we've been talking about for some time, but we've actually seen some working versions that are close. So anyway, I'm saying all of that, Justin, as a way to say that there are a couple of really quite large modules that we're wanting to get over the line, so that then we're a bit more public, like we've been dragging for a while, that we're not quite public, and so we really feel like those two features, being able to sell tickets and being able to get good reporting on who was at your event when, are two really key functions for being able to go a bit wider in our marketing, and all of that helps. The more people that come along, the more that we're able to invest into new features, and some productivity features like stored visibility rules. So it's all coming along. Are you raising your hand, Muddy?
I am. I'm curious. I also heard Blue mention that he's seen a preview of the coming marketplace, and so I'm curious what you can share about the preview.
Yeah, no, not too much, other than just what we've been able to see is some even more flexibility with how you can lay things out. Kind of it's a bit of a paradigm shift in our thinking about how to lay things out, and being much more flexible, and almost kind of dragging and dropping things, and placing them on a page, and instead of sort of building them out as far as margins and paddings and things like that, it's actually just being able to drag it and drag it out and things like that. So there's a new way of kind of handling how that will work. So that's the demo that we've been playing with, and are very excited about. And then it makes me think about having a series of preset options that you could choose from as well, to sort of get you going really quickly. It's one of the things, the more flexibility you place into the system, and the more control you have, the more potential you have to make it look pretty ordinary. because if it starts blank, then you've got to come up with some creative layouts and things like that. Whereas I think if having all of those controls is really good, as long as we could have some good starting places as well, where you've got some good examples to go by. So yeah, that's all coming along. Yeah. So we're also I was just about going to say hours. It probably is really away from offering a couple of extra domain names. So we're moving towards custom domains. Is kind of what we're wanting to get to, but in the meantime, we're adding a couple of extra domain names so that you could choose. Make sure I get one right. So instead of just obv.io as the only option, we've adding bootcamp.live. I think Zoomerverse as well might be another one. So anyway, a couple of other options is what's lining up, but we're just finalizing that. But that's very close. So that's cool. That's all good groundwork for totally custom domains, which is really what we want to get to. People being able to bring their own domain name and use that. So getting close.
Sounds like an enterprise feature.
Well, we were talking about that. So yeah, we'll see. I think having options of the different ones, I think will be for everyone, but we'll see about the custom domains eventually. Okay. Oh, we got a few extra people that have arrived. Hey. We don't have any questions that have been submitted, so feel free to. Yep.
I've got one quick question for you.
Yep.
I know that there were some one of the client events I had having some issue with outgoing messages not going out. Melanie had an issue with some SMS not going out. We've gotten some clarification on the SMS that it sounds like there is now a limit of 5 SMS per day. At the time, there was a limit of an accidental limit of 2 SMS per day. But it's not the team kind of resolve some of the issues with emails not going out, and I'm just curious if you can give any insight into, if there's anything worth knowing about what was the issue, or whether they're feeling confident emails go out, because in about a week or so, will come up again, the monthly event, and we'll have a series of reminders that go out 3 days ahead of time, 2 days, 1 day, 10 minutes. And I'd love to give my clients some confidence that the email system is reliable.
Yeah.
The beta communication feature is as reliable as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was a very unfortunate time, right as you were sending. There was an update that went through as well, that caused a break in the system for a short window, and you happened to land right in that window. That was one issue that was overlapping, and then, as you said, you also were hitting up against a limit that you were hitting too. And remember, those limits are per person, So tracking that per person, but particularly because once we added filters in the communications, you can filter however you like. And so it used to be that the limits really were just per day across how many broadcasts you do. But once we added filters, now it needed to track individuals as to so that you could actually target your communications out to different filtered groups of people. We're continuing to use it all the time, and one of the things that we are trying to build out, one of the developers is working on, is some stats around the communications so that you can see how many were sent, and we want to get to the open rates and things like that, which is a little trickier, but at least to see it sent in the first instance, that the server has actually sent the emails, is what we're getting at. So that's getting really close. I encourage you to do some little tests along the way, and so tests back, setting up a filtered list, with a half a dozen or a dozen people in your team, and pushing those through, because really what we tend to find is that if the system is sending out 5 or 10 emails in one go, it's going to send out 10 or 20,000 in one go. And so to build confidence yourself, I would suggest adding a couple of extra ones in there, a day out, an hour out, that type of thing, that is just pushing through. And you could have even some dummy attendees that you create that are coming back to your email address or something, and right. And so then you just build your own confidence that you're like, this is all working, and when I see that it's sent, then I'm getting it back. We've had a day out. I know that one's worked really well. That we're in a good spot. So, and then, as I said, once we get these stats, sort of reporting that comes back and tells you, okay, yep, this is how many were sent, and ultimately this is how many get opened, and things like that. That's gonna help a lot. So, there's a reason we still haven't unlocked it for everyone and just said that this is a way to go. But we're very, very close to that. So I don't want to discourage.
Oh, great idea with the test batch. I'll set that up. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. No, I think I think that will build some confidence. So, yeah, have a play with that and see how you go. Cool. Anyone else have any questions there? Someone? I'm sorry. Is it Marlies?
Hey, Grant, while we're
Marlies.
Marlies. There we go.
Sorry, but I
Yes.
think Amy wanted to say something.
Oh, I just wanted to, while we were talking about the SMS.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I thought I had requested that. Do I just request it through help at Obvio?
I think I'm pretty sure.
'Cause I don't see it on my dashboard.
It's been turned on for all leapers.
Mm.
And so on the pro account. And so when you go to send a broadcast, you have a drop down option for what channel, whether that's the email channel or the SMS channel.
Oh, I don't see that on mine. Okay. I'll look again.
I can check into that for you and see to make sure if your account is right.
I just might not be seeing the button. Thanks.
No worries. Yeah. Okay. Marilee.
Cool, thank you. I haven't been on these calls for like a couple of months. So, and now we have some events coming up in December and in January. And now I need to like update myself on what's happening on Obvio. So, so I've got a couple of questions. It's more just like a check and balance for myself, if that's okay.
Of course.
Cool, thanks. So the first one is the add-ons. I just want to make sure that the process of purchasing the add-ons and then allocating them to an actual event is still like working, and that's still the process to follow. Is that right?
Yes. So, yes, it is. There was a shift that needed to happen. That we moved add-ons. This was several months back now, but it was moving add-ons from. I need to think now. From the owner to the organization, and so add-ons are applied at the organization level, and so then they are applied to an event from the organization. So there was quite a large shift that happened there that actually works much better now. And so add-ons, for those playing at home, are when you are wanting to have more attendees or more active rooms. That's the two add-ons that you can buy. You want to have, on a pro account, you get 5 active rooms, so 5 Zoom meetings open at one time. You can have as many set up as you like, but you can have 5 open at the time. If you want more than that, then you can pay per add-on, pay for per room, and get another one to have more active rooms open. That's one. And the second one, second type of add-on is more attendees. So with the pro account, it's 500 attendees. Now, a shift that happened as well, this is a while back as well, but the shift is that now it's only for people that show up, so active attendees. Yeah. And now what that means though is that it is that they have come to the dashboard. So it's not necessarily that they've gone into Zoom, but it does mean that say you imported 1,000 attendees into your event and you sent out the links to everyone, but only 400 clicked the link and came to the dashboard. Well, then the amount that you would need is only 400, and you wouldn't need any add-ons because you would have 500 included, as an example. So it's not how many attendees are in your event, it's how many attendees are active, meaning that they have come to your dashboard. So
Okay.
that's particularly helpful for particularly when you're doing sort of free events or things like that. So the first ones.
Okay. So the reason why I asked that question specifically is that I cannot find the add-ons button anywhere. It's not in billing, it's not in the account, and I'm logged in as the owner of the actual organization.
The organization, yeah.
So like the super admin. So I can't find the add-ons anywhere.
Okay.
And I don't know if I've like lost the plot somewhere.
Yeah. So when you go, so you want to go to an organization that you are the owner of. So you're seeing the events, and then in the top right hand drop down menu up the top, where it says the organization name, you drop down and it should have events, teams, and add-ons and settings. If you don't see add-ons, then you may not be logged in as the owner. You can see it now?
Yep, all good.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay,
I was
great.
totally clicking on the wrong button. Got it.
Totally fine.
Okay,
Great.
cool. Is it okay if I ask another question?
Of course, yeah. Far away. Keep them coming.
Cool. So for our event happening in December, we do not want like any check-ins whatsoever. So the password is disabled, waiver is disabled, tech check is disabled. So if everybody receives, so those who opt in, they're going to get their unique Obvio URL link in order to access the dashboard. Will it take them directly to the dashboard, or do they still have to do like one single login? Because I do not want anything like that. I want super easy access to the dashboard.
Yeah, no, it'll be, it should be the same way that you entered this event, right? So,
Okay.
when you click the, I assume that you clicked the link from the email, then you came straight to the dashboard, and then you click the Zoom, the join the main stage button, and that was it. So, yes, all on this event that we're doing right now, all 3 check-in steps are disabled as well. And so there is no other step. Even for the first time that you come, there is no other step, as long as the attendee is created and that they are being sent the login link, with the token. Then there'll be nothing for them to do. They'll click and they'll be logged in as them to the dashboard.
Okay, cool.
That answers that.
And then yes, that answers that. Look, I mean, I logged in via the, the update.obvio page. So, and then I just clicked on join the call from there, right? So I didn't have to log in or anything, but I did need to log in to open update.obvio. But
see.
that could be, yeah, so that's what I'm just trying to avoid. I'm just trying to avoid, like, absolutely, I want no blocks to flow. I want no blocks to entry.
Sure, yeah, but you still want them to go to the dashboard first before
Yes,
they get into Zoom, yeah?
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's what
yeah,
they would use their unique URL token from Obvio in order to attend. Okay.
correct.
Cool. Then just to clarify, so 5 active meetings would be like, for example, if I have a main stage, but I've got 5 rooms running all at the same time, that is considered 5 active meetings, right?
Say that again. Let me just track you, make sure it's right.
Sorry. Okay, I'll speak a little slower. So
Yeah,
if I have a main stage, okay, so
Yep.
that's the Zoom,
Yep.
what do we call it? A Zoom area.
Yeah.
And then in the Zoom area, I have 5 rooms. Those 5 rooms is what is considered 5 meetings, if all of them are open and running. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it's not the Zoom areas. So it's like, if I had like main stage, VIP, general, I had like 5 like areas, and then another 5 rooms in each areas, and all 25 were open, that I would have to pay for, right? Because I only am allowed 5 on Pro. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, then the last question was the question around data. So a couple of months ago, we were talking about data. We were talking about like what we can track and what we can't track. We haven't used Obvio for a couple of months. Where can I keep track of like things like updates, new releases, new features, things around data, like what data is now available when we're, exporting Zoom lists, etc., of who attended. So we like, what are the updates? How do I access that information?
Yeah. Two separate things there. So how we're doing accessing data as far as the exports that you can get, that has changed in the last couple of months, as in the attendee export now has I was just gonna I'll pull it up and show you. There's two different options for export, which kind of gives you a bit more data there. Let me just think what I'm doing here. Okay, pull up this event. Hold on 1 second. While I'm doing this, it could be dangerous to try to talk and do this at the same time, but what you're also asking about is how we track like the change log, and how we track like when what updates have happened, what have I missed in the last couple of months. We have not been
Yeah, so
great.
sorry, I threw 2 questions at you at the same
You
time.
did,
Sorry.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We have not been great at documenting that. The closest thing has been the consistency of these calls, and making these calls available to go back over. Now, I know that's not a very efficient way of finding out changes that have happened. it's one of the things that I'm really going to be pushing for next year is more like a change log that when you log in to Obvio, you could see these are the changes that have happened, and just some notes on it, and then being able to potentially link off to the weekly call that could talk more about it. But at least you have like a bookmark almost that says this is the new thing that's happened, and so then you could look down the last few weeks and see, there's a few things that have changed. It's a big shift that I want to do. The other one is support. We have a bunch of videos that we've recorded about how to do certain things within the application, but making them available at the point that you're wanting to do it. So you're hitting on the page and then having a little question mark or something that would then bring up the video that talks about that page or that particular function. That's in the works now, and so that's kind of an extra help thing as well as updates, because as the updates happen, a new feature is created, a new video can be created, and then that can go into the system, and now you'll see what is this new page that I see or a new button, and you can get a little video that talks specifically about how to use that particular function. So but yeah, I am sorry that's not, there's not just a here, go to this page and you can see all the latest updates that have happened. But in the meantime, I'll just tell you about the data. We've just talking, I don't know if you may have joined just after I was talking about a whole new, I call it sort of a reporting module, which is where we can look at attendance data in a graph, in an interactive graph. And this is what we've been playing with, and it's coming along really well. And that is seeing the overall number of people that were in Zoom at the time, and then also seeing leaves and joins. So seeing a number of how many people joined, and seeing another line of how many people left in that particular sort of window, and it depends on how much data you're looking at the time. So the good thing is that we've been collecting the data of who joins and leaves when. We've been collecting that for 18 months. So we have all of that data. It's just that we haven't had the reporting necessarily on it. So that's the good thing, is that we'll be able to go back over past events and get more detailed views on that. The attendee, so I'll just show you this page quickly here. So when you're in a Zoom area, you now have export log, and so sort of a log of who joined when. The summary log is that you could have one person who joined 5 times for a minute each time. You will then get, in that summary log, you would get a single line that says that Grant joined 5 times for a total of 5 minutes. That would be the summary. The detailed log would be, as it sounds, an individual line for each time they joined and left. And so now you'd get 5 lines that says Grant joined, and the individual join and leave times, and for how long it was each time. So it'll be a minute each time. So that's those 2 separate ones, and they both can be quite handy. Most people will go for a summary log because that actually gives you some helpful data. I tell you a trick that I've done a few times just recently is I've taken that summary log and I've reformatted it back into the format that we like for importing into our attendees. And that is where we have first name, last name, email, tags, groups is the columns order. And what I've done is imported the amount of minutes that people were joined in the meeting. And what that was really helpful for is I could see in my attendee list, I could see how long people were in, how long they'd been in the event. And I did it over multiple days. So I could say, I've got one group that says day 1 attendance, and that's now, 20 minutes, 6 hours, whatever it was for that each individual attendee. And I could then target people who had either not been there at all in my emails or people that have been there. And so now I could say you weren't there for day 1. Make sure you could catch that up on this video perhaps, and join us for day 2 or week 2 or whatever. Or you were. It was great to see you on day 1. So it was actually a really, really easy, cool way of being able to take data, put it back in to the attendee, update the attendee record, and see within the attendee record the story of that individual. So it's a bit more there than you asked for, but there you go.
Okay, no, but that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to testing it now in December then and seeing what data we get. And I think the last time we chatted about the data as well is making sure, for example, all of the resources that we provide, especially if they're downloads, in order to make sure those downloads have trackable links, or making sure that those downloads, are zapping information back into the CRM system to show who's downloading and who's not. So I assume that's still like the same as in from my side, as the planner and as the person working on the system, I need to make sure that I have all my tracking links set up accordingly.
Yes. Yeah, that is still the same. And I would just say as well that the point system and the gamification, putting points for certain activities in the site, we are tracking more of what's going on there, with the hope to be able to get more data out of that. So there's a little bit more going on there, which is very handy. And even things like joining the dashboard or logging into the dashboard, tracking that, so that then with the hope, sometimes we're like, what is the stuff that we want to track? And then we'll need to worry about how we get the reporting about that. But starting the tracking working, so that we're tracking when people are hitting the dashboard. So so things like the anything that you're tracking with the leaderboard is what we're trying to get to, so that then you could do an export of someone's activity and show how, they joined the dashboard, then they downloaded this PDF, and then they went to this sponsors page, and then they did that type of stuff. Is what we're moving towards. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting very close.
Okay, but that's really exciting, like being able to actually measure the entire journey and like where people went to. That would be awesome. Okay, cool, great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Grant, on that tracking thing, it's useful to note that there are a few more direct integrations, and those direct integrations allow tags to be added from buttons. So if you have a direct integration set up that's tracking features for tagging activities.
Thank you. You're starting to cut out a little bit there, but yes, that's right. Yeah, and there are a few more CRM integrations that we've added now, direct. So we can always do Zapier, and there's some, you can integrate with a whole bunch of systems through Zapier, but we also have direct. We're up to 7 or 8 now or something. So you can see those in the attendee and their services. Mine serves me right. Services, yeah, I was right. What are we up to? 7. 1, 2. Oh, Zapier 1, 2, 3. So yeah, keep MailChimp, HubSpot, High Level, Active Campaign, and ConvertKit are all the direct integrations that we have now. There's another thing that you might have missed as well, and that is Searchy, the system for um, often lots of like a membership videos and things like that that people use. We have an integration with them going the other way, where you can get your recordings, your Zoom recordings, directly from Obvio into Searchy without having to download and upload and things like that. So that's pretty cool too. So that was a new integration that we have, being able to getting a recording. So the Zoom recordings that sit in Obvio, they can go directly into Searchy without you having to download them and upload them to Searchy. So Searchy can you can put in an access token, an Obvio access token. It's basically an application, a Searchy application. It's called Obvio. And you put in your access token, and then it shows you your events, and you say this event, and then it sucks in all of those recordings straight into Searchy. It's pretty cool.
Okay, cool. I was just about to ask you, so where do I do that? But I'm obviously doing that from the Searchy side and then
Yes.
using Obvio as okay, cool, got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Trying to think about other things that we've added. There has been there was a big push in the last few months. We were pushing a lot on some infrastructure changes. So there's been definitely some speed improvements on just the application in general. There has also been a big push in continuing to be able to scale large scale events, and so there's been another change in the way that we manage some of the data to make that faster, and to scale more. And so if it works big, it works small, and sometimes we have these huge events that come along, and making those work to just to speed up the whole thing and to make sure it's more actually having some systems in place to gracefully handle large numbers. We've done a lot of work on that, which it's boring, it's not kind of sexy with new features or whatever, but it is really fundamental to the system, is making sure that people can get into Zoom quickly and they can get to the dashboard easily and things like that. So yeah, there's been a lot of work in that. Yeah.
Well, you're talking to like processes and systems here. So like anything that makes things faster, smoother, or easier, like I'm super happy. So thank you. I really
awesome.
appreciate the help.
No worries. Well, you're asking all the right intelligent questions about the processes. So all the best with your December event. It's a challenging time of year to be doing an event, but I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, there was a lot of debate about it. So I hear you, but we're now committed. So now this thing's happening. So
it's better than no event.
Yeah, 100%. And like we haven't actually done anything since June, so it's about time. So
Perfect.
yeah. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. What's what we got there? Hey Marley, did you saying hi? Did you have a question, or are you just hanging out?
Good morning. Good morning,
there.
beautiful people. I actually did have a question. And I'm not sure, this might be too specific, Grant, for you. It might be more of a blue question, but I'm no longer in Leap. So I'm having like
You're
withdrawal. I'm having withdrawal. I'm actually really sad. I've had a few days where I've been like, oh, I can't go to my accountability call, but I still want to stay subscribed to Obvio and continue using the platform. Stay connected here. So I was just wondering like how I do that because I the Obvio was included with Leap, right? So how can I update my membership, I guess?
Have you seen whether your Leap subscription is technically finished now. Is that right?
Yes, I tried to log into something and it said access denied.
You
I had a
cannot.
moment.
I felt like I was always connected to this. Why?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I'm just having a quick look to see. Essentially, what happens is you set up a new subscription on the same account. What happens is it will tick over to not having an active subscription, and then it'll ask you to choose one, and then you would then choose. So let me see here.
Yeah, I was just concerned about losing what I've worked on in there, obviously.
No, yeah, you're all good there, and actually, it's still actually active until January, is what it's saying.
Right? Good.
The Obvio link. So you
Okay,
would.
good. So generous. So I'm still committed to the path. I'm still committed to doing my events, and that's why I want to, just stay on board with the platform. So trying to make sure we're good, and I can keep joining these calls because I have so much fun
Yeah,
asking
no,
questions.
of course. Yeah, no, that's all fine. And of course, the other thing is too, Marley, that you were a founder as well, right?
Of
So
Obvio, yeah.
yeah, so there possibly is a way that we can reinstate that too. So,
Like
would
grandfather me in, like keep
yeah,
me close.
that's right,
So
exactly.
I can keep growing the with the platform. I'm finally feel like I've got the hang of it and I'm not scared. I can actually help other clients build out their dashboards. So I've learned a lot. You all are doing an awesome job. Yay, I see money give me. Ooh, ooh, I love it. You've helped me out so much. And
All right.
yeah, I just wanna keep growing with it.
So you two that are driving and interacting with each other while you're both driving, let's just calm that down a little bit. Let's just keep eyes on the road. All right, let's just keep safe here. Very
I
happy with
live in
your talking.
Miami. Like this is
But
so normal.
these hand actions that you're doing across driver to driver, that's just taking it to another level.
Okay, I'm sorry. I won't make you nervous. We're good.
That's right, exactly. That's awesome. It makes me think about like sort of founder alumni as well as Leap alumni. Would be interesting as far as where it goes with Obvio. But as it stands now, you're good until January, and so then let's revisit it then and see if we can work out something with that founder.
That makes me feel so much better and happier today. Thank you for letting me ask
That's
a
great.
question.
You're very welcome. Yeah, and then of course every week you're welcome back here. So whenever you want. Is that what a Tesla's for? Yeah, exactly. Take your hands off and just let it drive for you.
Too fancy for me at this point right now. I need my purpose-driven payday, and then I'll ride up in a Tesla up in here.
Nice. Tesla's for everyone. Cool. I'll just check in if there's any other. Make sure there wasn't. No, it's cool. There's no questions that people have posted. Okay, Amy, you found the SMS. You're looking in the wrong place. Sweet. Have a little play with that and see what you come up with. That's very powerful, though. It's super cool. It's the new spam option. That's the problem, right? Is it is the open rate on text messages is way higher than email. But of course, there's lots of spam text message spam laws and rules around it as well, and so it gets trickier and trickier as well. So you want to use it carefully, sparingly, and carefully. But particularly when you have people that have paid for a ticket or they've signed up for for your event, generally they're happy to receive a text message from you as a reminder, or something to remind you of the event. Muddy, I just saw that about the event time. Yeah, exports should all be in event time. That's what the design is. Yep. And so yeah, we've done that on the graph that we're doing as well. It's really cool. All in event time. So that was always a big shift, wasn't it? It's like Blue was reluctant to have event time zone for some time. Probably because he's in the eastern time zone. It feels like that's where the world runs, on the eastern time zone. He just thinks everyone should work on that, but actually it's been really cool once we did implement that, because particularly when you have team across multiple time zones, team as well as attendees, but particularly team, everyone needs to be able to look at the dashboard and see the time and know, okay, this is the time zone that it's operating in. So for those that are listening and that haven't messed around with that too much yet, it's possible you could have even an old event that hasn't got the time zone set, and so it's worth just double checking, going back to the event settings. So you go to event and then settings, and then you set the event time zone, and now everywhere where you're entering times will be in that time zone. So that's particularly handy. Yeah. So then now when you do exports, it exports in that time zone. So cool. Yeah, it's a good call, Justin, about the having a waiver if you're going to publish recordings, having written consent from the attendees. Absolutely, particularly if they've got, you're using the questions that might have been asked and gallery views and things like that with people's likeness and their face and that sort of thing. It's good to cover yourself with that. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Tends to be a quieter week when we do it in the morning. We're still talking about whether we stop doing the mornings or not, but we'll see. Back again. We've had 15 or so people that have come through them at this time, so there's always pros and cons to morning and night. Hello, Kevin. You got a question there? Hey.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
All right, so you can hear me well. Okay, that's the first thing. Just a couple of questions. Like the one of the past persons asked, I was a founding Avio member
There
way
you
back
go.
when.
Nice.
Paid for the subscription, never used it.
Okay.
Never used it. It was my intention to say, okay, hey, I want to get into this business. I thought your presentation, um, the presentation was doing this was just wonderful. I like the idea of it, but I didn't actually have an event that I could actually do. I did it, got the system in support of my wife for doing an event who was totally against doing an online event. So
Okay.
um, that's where I am. So now my subscription has canceled. So I'm asking the same thing. If I just go ahead and renew, um, I would be able to to be back, be able to do everything again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it seemed
Totally could.
easy enough. The other
um.
part to this, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the other part of this, if I wanted to do this to help people throw um an event online, again, I would be able to use this service to help other people throw different events online, correct?
Totally. Yep. We've got quite a few people that are doing that. Muddy and Justin James that are here today do quite a lot of events running on Obvio using their own accounts for other clients, like for other people that are running their events. I've done that quite a lot as well, and sometimes I have given those sort of end clients access to Obvio, the back end, and sometimes not at all. It depends on the client. Sometimes they don't need it, and they can just have access to the dashboard as an attendee themselves. But then sometimes they do need access. So it just depends on how it is that you're running. But yeah, by all means, you want to sort of offset the cost of Obvio by running it for some other people. Then yeah, absolutely, you can do that.
Again, and then with each show, we just build up whatever show it is that they're showing, and I build a dashboard using my dashboard to build up their dashboard for the event.
Yeah. So you would have in a pro account, you have 3 organizations, and so your organization, you think of an organization like a group of events. You can have as many events as you want, your unlimited events in an organization. The thing about an organization is the team, and so it's who has access to that. So as an owner, you can have those 3 organizations, and then you could invite other team members in, and then have multiple events that are sitting under that organization. And so it could be that you have a client that you create a dashboard for, and you run their whole event out of one organization, and then you have another organization that's just for you and your partner, and you can run all those yourself and do it that way. And so you can keep them very separate. And you can also sort of reuse organizations as well, right? So then you can remove team members and then add more team members and that sort of thing. So you've got a lot of flexibility in that. And we're seeing people use Obvio in creative ways as well, not just for straight up events, but some people are using them for weekly calls and for mentoring sessions and all sorts of different things that and you're totally welcome to do that, because you can run as many events as you want. You can have up to 5 Zoom meetings running at any time, and then you can pay for more if you need them. And another shift that happened, there's probably been quite a few shifts since you first signed up. But from a cost point of view, way back when we sort of had a credit system of how many credits you would have, and you'd use that up over the life of the subscription. That's changed to where it is unlimited events. You can run as many as you like. They can be as long as you like. And now where the restriction is, or the initial limitation is on a pro account up to 500 attendees that have active attendees that have come to that event. So you could have an attendee list of 1,000 people, for example. You could send everyone the login link for them to join. And if only 300 people actually clicked to the link and came to your dashboard, you would only have 300 active, and therefore you would still be under your 500 limit, and you wouldn't need to pay anything more. And you could have those same 300 people come every day for a year, and you wouldn't pay anything more. So that was a big shift that changed, because we used to have like 4-day events and things like that. It was a bit more complicated. Now it's much easier. You're just thinking about how many attendees you have, and the other shift was that it used to be however many attendees you had in the system. Now it's actually only how many people show up, and so they're active. So it's not just that they've gone to Zoom, but that they've come to the dashboard. When they've clicked the link, come to the dashboard, they're now classed as an active attendee. But that gives you start thinking about that, which is why people are using it for weekly calls or mentoring calls or whatever, and creating this kind of an event which is a base for lots of their Zoom activity, and their interaction with different people, and that's been really effective for people. So I would really encourage you to think like that and start getting something off the ground that you're doing, that you're just regularly using Obvio, and so that it's just a tool that you're familiar with, and then when the right event comes along or the right client comes along or whatever it is, you can really just dive at it and away you go.
Okay. Just one other question, then I'll let
Yeah,
everybody else
you're fine.
have the floor.
No worries.
For participants, people who are coming to the event, they cannot forward that link on to anyone else, right?
So there's nothing stopping someone from sharing the link, and what that would mean is that you can have, say you've got someone who's logged into the dashboard as Homer Simpson. That's who they've come on as.
Right.
They share that same link with 5 of their friends. Technically, what would happen is that all 5 of them would hit the dashboard as Homer Simpson. The difference is that when they hit to come into Zoom, there's more control there. When you set up the Zoom area, it gives you an option to allow multiple multiple instances or multiple joins by the same person, or not. And we offered that because sometimes you do want it and sometimes you don't. So on our really large scale events, we turn that off, particularly for paid events, right? So it means that sometimes you'll have people that, so the first Homer Simpson comes in, they join, they go into Zoom. The second one comes in and it says you've already joined, you can't join again. Now sometimes that person wants to change devices, right? And they want to go from their computer to their mobile device, and they try to do that at the same time, and they get the error, and so there's a little bit of friction there for genuine reasons why people would want to join multiple times, and that's an example. We have less of this now, but if a couple of years ago, a few years ago, we had people that were having problems with their computers, and they'd be like, I've joined on my computer and I can see it, but I can't hear it. And so then I've joined from my phone and now I can hear it on my phone, but I can't see it. And so I was like,
Right.
I'm using the two devices. And so sometimes on those events, it was easier to just allow multiple joins and it would be fine. All of that to say, we have systems in place so that if you are selling a ticket, while they might be able to join and see the dashboard, actually getting into Zoom, if you wanted to, you could lock that down and make sure that they can't, and have them sign up instead. Sign up, each person sign up instead.
Okay, that'll work.
Thank
you.
And that just reminds me, is another thing that you probably have not caught up on either, and that is that there is a sign up option as well, that's newer, that makes it easier. I'll show you here. What am I thinking of? Here we go. So in the design here, you've got the login page. So we've always had that, but you can also enable a sign up page. The sign up page is as simple as that: first name, last name, email. So if you're running, particularly if you're running a free event, then you can enable this, and essentially they just put first name, last name, email, and they get straight to the dashboard. You can send out a link to this to everywhere, and the same everyone uses that same link, and they sign up and they join, and they come in they get added as an attendee, and then they come into Zoom with those details. That name, the first and last name, is how they'll be seen in Zoom. So that's a really cool feature too. So there's a few extra things that we've added along the way to make it easier to do some of those free events, particularly. But yeah, have a play around, get the account going again, and have a play around, see what you think.
Will do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Grant, I would say by default, the settings are set up in such a way that only one attendee can join Zoom at a time. So the issue of sharing the actual Zoom link is not an issue. The default settings limit it to one logged in user.
That's right. Yeah. Jeff has asked a couple of questions. The recording for last week, yeah, I haven't posted that, but I will make a note for myself to do that. And I'll need to do this one as well. I didn't hit live stream on these ones, so I'll get the recording and post those. Make that note. I'm also going to put the recordings back on this dashboard. I was thinking about this. So back here, so you could come here and see them. There we go. Make a note of that. The right thing. And then you've got another question there. How do I compile a single CSV export? Contains data from check-in and form fields from a form into a single CSV, missing organization name, job title, referral name. So when you
Muddy's
do yeah, go ahead.
Said Muddy's giving me a thumbs down. So I had reached
every form is its own export.
Yeah.
So I'd reached out to support prior to my event last week, and I was trying to see, like, if they already entered their name on check-in, do I have to do it again on the form? And then is there an easy way to compile that data? And it sounds like the answer is no, it'll capture their name, but it's not going to compile the data. So my hope was to have a single CSV where it would have from check-in their name, their organization, their job title, and then who referred them to the event. That's what we're capturing in check-in. And then the form that they fill out during the event is sort of the next step that they need to take. And there's just like a little other feedback field there. And so I went to download and I'm like, oh, no, these are separate. That's like data stuff I don't want to have to do. I don't know if there's an easy way that to compile those, or other than just sitting there field by field in Excel.
Yeah, so there is there's a way in Excel, as in to be able to do sort of VLOOKUPs and things. You could totally do a little script, and I tell you, ChatGPT is awesome for creating those for you, by the way. Because you can just write it out. This is what I want to do, and it will create the formula for you, and then you just copy it in and then fill it down, and it will fill out your sheet for you. So you can do that, and you could use the email address as the identifier across both of those. So you could have two separate sheets and then have a third sheet that combines them all. And so it's relatively straightforward, as in there's a little bit of messing around, but you can totally do it where you can say, bring these columns in. If it equals this email address, then bring these columns in, and across these two separate sheets, and then bring them all across, and away it goes. So Excel is pretty powerful in that way. I mean, and Google Sheets, you could do the same thing, to be able to do that now, I mean, that's a workaround for what is actually quite a reasonable thing to be able to get out, because really you're asking to get an export of all your existing attendee data as well as add the form data to it.
Right.
And yeah, there's a few things that we've done before in sort of getting form data back into attendee data, and that there's some tricks in there, but it's as far as going down that line, it's easier to do the Excel option, to do those two exports,
Okay.
and do the the combining there. That would be the definitely the best way. But it's like is often the case with you, Jeff. There are very good suggestions about very reasonable things that you're asking for.
Yeah. There's a challenge that I'm thinking through. We captured the email during check-in, but since we captured it during check-in, we didn't capture it on the form. So I think I probably have to use the name as the identifier and just hope that they didn't, that if Grant signed into my event, Grant didn't put G, or, I don't know if there's.
Yeah, no. So the form, when you export the form data, it'll have the email in it.
Oh, yes, it does.
Yep.
See, I'm still drinking coffee. It's very early on the West Coast where I am today, so my brain isn't fully active. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you find there, and that will be your identifier, and will be consistent, right? Because that's how they've logged in to the dashboard. So that's the good thing, and that's why I'm confident about the Excel option, because that data is consistent. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool.
And there is one thing the Obvio team has added. If you have a bunch of forms, I had an event where we had a bunch of sponsors, and each sponsor had a sign-in booth, that mimics a sign-in sheet at their booth, right? So you check the thing to sign their guest book. That's the word I was thinking of. So we had a bunch of these guest books, and it was initially tedious to go in one by one and download each of these forms. So now on the form page, there is a button at the top that says download all form submissions. So they're still individual files, but you can download them all at once. But then what I did is I created one Excel spreadsheet, and I just copied and pasted all the data from each of the CSVs into a new tab. And then I could create a master tab that just said VLOOKUP by their email address, which is the key identifier field, and then just kind of suck all that data into one sheet and export that sheet to the client as the final sheet. So it's a little bit manual, but once you get a process set up, it's pretty quick and efficient as well.
Thank you for sharing that, Muddy. It's very helpful.
Yeah, there's some powerful stuff you can do across multiple sheets, and even separate files as well, can be super powerful too. You can open multiple files and have them referencing each other and things like that. So you end up creating databases out of what should be just sort of flat file spreadsheets, end up actually being quite multi-dimensional databases. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for the suggestions. I think I have a hot date with Chat GPT this morning. And if that doesn't work, my wife's an Excel whiz. So if I can't figure it out, I'll pick up the phone and call her.
There you go. Yeah. I use Chat GPT all the time for coding stuff, and it's incredibly powerful for that. Because of taking natural language and converting that to code is what's amazing. So it's only getting better and better at it. Cool. All right. I think that was all the questions there. At the moment. Somehow we've managed to take up 75 minutes. That's impressive. Had a few different conversations, a few faces we haven't seen for a little while, which is cool. But it does feel like it's slowing down somewhat. Now's the chance if you have any last questions. Otherwise, we may wrap this up.
Thing I was looking for last week, Grant, and I don't know that this is short, or I mean, I can always go watch the recording, but I know you guys had talked about JavaScript with sign up forms. Again, coffee's needed. And I was just wondering to get kind of like an overview again of what that accomplishes. I couldn't remember from last week's call what that was about.
Yeah, all that was a little script that would redirect someone from the login page to the sign up page. And so it was just a little hack really that just meant that you could use the standard domain name without /signup, and it would auto redirect to sign up. And then also if there was ever a time where they sometimes you can click a link and it'll take you back to log in, and there's a couple of different ways that could happen, and this is kind of a catch-all that just gets them back to sign up. And the key thing about this too is that we've also changed that if someone returns to sign up having already signed up and they put the same details back in, it will log them in. Whereas before it would say you were already signed up, or email already used, or that sort of thing. Now it just says, oh, you're already signed up. I'll log you in as that person.
That's so good. I've had people get stuck, and
so totally.
Yeah, that's a much better experience. And then I know I had said this as feedback in a previous call. I was curious if the sign up language could be changed or just the URL. So I've had people, I use it in the Calendly link. And so once in a while, I'll get clients in their mind, they've already signed up for the call. That's how they got it on their calendar. And so they won't show up on Zoom, and I'll call them. And they're like, well, it was asking me to sign up again, but I'd already signed up, so I didn't know what I needed to do. I'm like, oh, but if you click the sign up link, you'll be able to join the meeting. And they're like, oh, but I already signed up. Like, aren't you just going to send me a Zoom link? And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. It's just the language is confusing. So I don't know if that'll be customizable at all down the road, but to like join, like I think they're looking for something that says join or whatever, but they see the URL in their Calendly, or on their calendar, and they get a little confused. Rebrandly, yeah, I think we discussed that before. I should set that up.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. Because then, you kind of you're sort of hiding you're hiding what it is. It also is really cool when you can change what the destination is based on the post event or something. You can then change it to go somewhere else, which is really cool. So, and there's QR codes and stuff is all part of that, and it's super powerful. But the sign up,
that's now actually only on the paid plans. You can't redirect or rebrand the URL on the free plan anymore.
What can you do? I feel like that's
the whole purpose.
Well, no, you can create a new link.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right, but once the link has been used, you can't go in and edit the destination of a pre-existing link. But I mean, the first paid plan is super cheap, and I had it free for years, so I didn't mind subscribing. But that was new to me.
Yeah, this is a service that when I looked at the payment plans, I was like, I don't need to sign up to this, but my whole events and all of my so much of my business is running on this service. I'm like, I'm going to give them money because I don't want this to shut down or anything. And it was like, I'll just go, I'll go on this plan that I don't need, because I'm like, this is too crucial to everything that I'm running. So, but yeah, it slowly has been getting up, going up in price a little bit. So, but that's interesting. I hadn't realize that on the free plan, not being able to change it. That makes sense. Anyway, they're a great service. So, but yeah, so the script, the redirect script, yeah, is a hack, 100%, and doing any sort of JavaScript in those scripts can be dangerous. But once if you're careful and you get it right, then that can save people getting trapped in a login screen. They don't know what to do.
I have 3 events currently that I use regularly that I would use that on. So I think I'll apply it and run it by y'all in support to make sure I did it correctly before one of those meetings, and then I should be good to go. Thanks for that.
Yeah, sounds great. Cool.
All right, I've got one, which is a Zoom question, but I'm not sure if you have any insights about this or not, but I thought it's worth asking. So when we're running an Obvio event, we're using the Obvio Enterprise account, which is 1080p account. However, if someone joins from a mobile device, like me right now, it bumps the whole meeting down to 720p. And my understanding is that from a technical standpoint, the reason is that Zoom, it sends out low quality feeds for people who don't need the full resolution, but it can only send out one HD feed. So it's either going to be a 720 HD or a 1080p full HD feed. Only one of those feeds can go out at a time, is my understanding. And so if anybody's on a mobile device, it bumps it down to 720p to make sure that they're still able to connect. Do you know if there's any sense of whether that will be changing in the future? I mean, it certainly seems like with Zoom's capability now, they could handle both a 720p and a 1080p. And I think, in fact, in some of their products, they are able to do that. So I'm not sure if you have any sense of whether that's coming in the Zoom meeting SDK.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. That's exactly right. That's exactly what happens. The thing is that they have said in webinar that they can control that a little more and do a 720 and a 1080. But of course it's webinar. And so it's I don't know whether they'll be quick to kind of change that on meeting. I mean, they haven't been quick to change it for even going to just turning on HD for everyone again, right? Like during COVID, they dropped it down to SD for everyone to 360, and then by request, you could get HD. The interesting thing is that I'm sending 1080 now, right? So even though you're in the call and what people are receiving is 720, there's a conversion that's going on, and so in theory the recording should still be 1080 of what I'm sending out. And I'm not sure, and it can be hard to pick that sometimes, right? Like in the recordings. But I'm looking at my stats now, and I'm definitely sending 1080. So I don't know. Maybe there are some things that are changing. Because one thing is that they are doing some AV1 support as well, as far as the different video codecs and things, and so they might be playing around with some stuff. Don't know. I just can't gauge whether they see the big value in the jump from 720 to 1080. And we know that there's a huge jump from 360 to 720. It's a noticeable difference for everyone. But it's a bit more of a trained eye to pick the difference between 720 and 1080. But it's one of those things that we say that it's often these sorts of things are about how people feel, not what they think. A bunch of us geeks will sit and look at something and go, "Oh, that's 1080," but the difference for the regular Jane or Joe is that they will sit and see and almost a lower brain, like, wow, this is a great picture. It's a great connection. I'm really connecting well with this person. I can hear them really well. I'm actually having a really good conversation. And they leave that digital event and say, wow, that was good. So conversely, terrible audio, low resolution, bad video, all of that, then chances are most people are not walking away going, gee, that camera angle was terrible, or, the audio was terrible, or whatever it was. Chances are they're walking away going, that was just a terrible experience. That was a bad event. So it's what people feel. And so if we're going after what they feel, then we're going for the look. And so then you could argue that better lighting, some nice depth of field, all of that is going to make a bigger difference at 720 than a jump to 1080. Don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do. The compression's only getting better and better. So the bandwidth is coming down. The bandwidth requirements is coming down. So we'll see. But it's a good challenge. Cool. All right. It's 1 a.m. here. I feel like I've put in the time. Candace has given me the sign off. Thank you. Get the I'm allowed to go to bed. Thank you for that. Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Good to see you.
Thank you again, man.
No worries. Thanks, everyone. So join us next week at a more reasonable hour for you, Jeff. It'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern, and so you can put your questions in. I'll get some recordings up, and I'll try to get some backlog of recordings back onto the dashboard there to make it easy to go back and view them. So awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Grant. Go dream of form fields collaborating and just downloading all at once. And when you wake up, you'll have it all.
Nice. That's awesome. Cool. See you, everyone. Bye.
Good night, Grant.